Hi everyone, welcome. I had a bit of an echo today. Hi guys. Hi Abby, Helen, and is it where? Welcome guys. Welcome. Come in. Come in. Who's excited for this one? Me. Me. Hi Zealy. How are you? Hi Joey. I do feel really echoey today. I'm not sure why. Echo. Hello Shadow. Hi. Would you like to come and say hello now before we get started? Would you? Quickly then. Hi Selena, welcome. Hello, Shadow. Hello. How is everybody? I just got a message saying that I'm live. How exciting. I didn't even know that I was live. Yeah. Oh. There we go. Say hello. Oh, thanks, Sealy. Are you okay there, Shadow? Are you just going to stand on all of my pencils? No, don't bump the camera. No. Shadow. Shadow says hello. Oh, you're a bugger. No. Get off that. If you're going to sit right there. Sit. Oh, hang on a second, guys. Won't be a moment. Alright, all good. Now, Shadow really wants to join in today. Hi, guys. Hi, Aquarius. Welcome. Aquarius Taurus colouring. Well, I'm a Taurus, so I'm happy with that. Welcome, guys. Come in. We've got a few coming in now. We're starting our first week of our new colour along for 2020, and what an awesome way to start it off by doing a Christine Caran image. So if you're new and you didn't know about the event, the Troll Girl colouring page is available on Etsy, and because Christine Caran's so amazing, she's given us a discount for this event. So the discounts are only going to be available until the end of January 2020. Bye, Shadow. So make sure you grab it before... Hi, Miranda. Make sure you grab it before the end of the month. Otherwise, you'll be able to grab it still, but it won't have the discount on it, just so you know that. So, yeah. Hi, Amanda. Welcome. Come in. Hi, Angie. Welcome, guys. Come in. Who's new? Who's the first time? Who's done a colour along before? Or a live one, I should say. Hello, Mum. Do we have too much of an echo? I do have a headset I could try to use, but I'm not sure if it'll be too quiet. But this one certainly picks up everything. Okay, great. Perfect. Thanks, guys. All right. So I decided, we talked a little bit about this on on Monday, I should say, or Sunday for a lot of you guys. Christine, I suggested maybe doing dark skin or coloured skin, and Christine said that dark skin would be cool. So I decided to give dark skin a go. Now, I haven't done dark skin that much. So this could be interesting. It could turn into a hot mess. I'm hoping that you guys still get something out of it though. I've got a couple of colours in mind for it. I did work really hard in trying to get the right blend and mix. I did decide to use the Strathmore mixed media vellum surface paper. Let me just get the sheet so you can see which one. Just hold it there for a minute for those to check it out or take a screenshot or whatever if you're looking. Might be a hot mess. I'm good, Miranda, thank you. Hi, Rain. So I have printed on this paper. I did try it on some Neenah, but I find Prismas are a little bit finicky when it comes to Neenah. There's only a certain amount of layers that you can put on Neenah paper, and unfortunately with Prismas I like to layer, so I ended up going with this one. Also the Bristol Vallum surface is also good as well. Bristol Vallum is just a little bit thicker than the mixed media one. Oh, thanks, Joey. I like to see people's work. Don't be afraid to share it. Even if I'm the only one. I'm not going to share it with anyone. Prismas do exactly, Helen. A little bit of texture is actually really good. So yeah, this has got a little bit of texture. It's not extremely textury, like it's not, you know, you can't see when I tip the paper to the side, you can't see the bump. But there is definitely a bit of a tooth on this paper. So now I've printed it, I think it's around 20 by something centimeters. I haven't quite, this is a 9 by 12 page. So obviously I didn't want to fill up the page. Otherwise it's just going to take me too long. But I wanted it big enough to be able to show you guys what I was doing as well. So, but you can print it at any size. If you are one of those people who's learning and you don't want to waste a whole great big page on one, or you're worried that you'll mess it up, my suggestion is to print a few onto one page. So these are little, kind of bigger than wallet size, but 4 fit on a page. And then you can practice, so you can try one with dark skin and one with light skin and one with coloured skin if you want, or if you're still practicing dark skin, you can try a few. So the idea of doing something like this is that you can practice it without fear of wrecking a large one. No, Miranda, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't really follow that kind of thing. Being a Christian, it doesn't really interest me that much. I just know that I'm a Taurus. So yeah, so of course I have practice goes at them, and before I start, but this is what we're going to try to attempt today, some dark skin. It actually looks a lot different under the camera than it does in my hand, so you know, you'll be able to see it. I'll print it up. So yeah, so great idea. So print off, I've got I mean, I know that Windows has been upgraded, and they don't have the photo gallery anymore on the newer Windows. I actually downloaded it, a patch for it, so I could still use it because, excuse me, in the photo gallery on Windows, there's an option, shadow. You can actually choose wallet size, so I could print 9 on a page, or this size is a good little photo frame size, and the program or Windows photo gallery prints that like that, which is pretty awesome. But if it doesn't, you could use something like Word or any program that you use like that, and put the image on 4 times on the page. Shadow, please, you're really distracting today. For those that don't know, this is Shadow. Tail Shadow. Get your tail out. Excuse me. Miss. Sassy bum. Come on. We really want to start colouring. Hi, Christy. Hi, Christine. Come in, guys. So, yeah. Give it a go. Try it. Print it on different... Print it on... Shadow. Really? Can you not today? Today we're trying to colour. We are. So today we're going to have a giveaway. Christine is giving away one giveaway winner a choice of image, PDF image from her Etsy shop, or PDF or JPEG. I think it comes in both. So if there's an image in the shop that you haven't got yet, this will give you a chance to grab it if you do win. So that's exciting. I know she does, doesn't she, Helen? Can I just pat you and then you go home? Please? Go on, off you go. You done now? You had a pat? Your fur is going everywhere. It's really hot today, guys. Really hot. Let's have a look at the weather. It's already 29 degrees here. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I never know. It is already 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 9:40 a.m. in the morning. So it's going to be a warm one again. And yeah, let's get started. Shadow, please. All right, now it's time to get mean, Miss Sassy Kitty. I'm gonna get a smack. Not really. I would never do that. I just sort of spray some water at her and she runs away. I don't need to do that. But I didn't bring my water bottle. All right, guys, who's ready to start? Get off. Go on. Ow. Go on. I'll get your water wet. As soon as I grab my water bottle, she runs. It's icy cold. Alright, I'm ready to start. We've got about 40 people here. If you haven't already got it, make sure you grab it. The links are all in the description as well. And also, I have the link here. You can also do it in line art as well. It's not necessary to do it in the grayscale. The code is good for both the line art and the grayscale version. So here we go. That is cold. Alright, I'm going to get my board because I like to have something to lean on. Let's go through the colours that we're going to be using. We're going to be using mineral orange and canary yellow for the eyes, along with some black and white. I'm going to be using black for the eyelashes and eyebrows, and also the little hair coming out of the ears here. And we're going to use white and black inside the eyes there as well. So we've got those. We're going to be using for the skin a couple of colours. This is where I'm going to be doing some layers. So when I said that I like to use paper with a bit of tooth, this is why. But we've got, let's go through them. Sepia. We've got dark brown, chocolate, nectar, blush pink, light peach, and eggshell. Hi Christy, hi Eva, hi guys, welcome. Hi, is it Netus? Netus? I have trouble with names, so if I get it wrong, have a laugh at me, I'm funny. And I mean no offense at all. Okay. I think what we might do is start with the eyes because they're in the middle and we don't want to smudge all that out. Maybe we'll leave it till last. Let's do skin tone first. Alright, I'm going to start with sepia. Let's see how we go. I was trying to think of a story here of our troll girl. And I thought maybe she's a troll princess, but she doesn't know it yet. Hi Bridget, welcome. Alright, so I'm going to start with sepia, and what we're going to do is really light pressure, and I mean like light. I'm laying my pencil kind of on the side, almost vertical, almost horizontal, I should say. Why did I get that mixed up? I don't know. I'm going a little bit senile. And we're just going to lay down some nice colour, or dark colour, into the areas on the image that are already grey. If you're not using the grayscale version, then you can try and follow and place those shadows where I'm placing them over the grey. Hi Robert. Hi Selena. Hi Linda. Welcome guys, come in. Just getting started. Big welcome to all those people who are new to the group as well. I know heaps of people joined the Facebook over this week, Facebook group. And also I've seen a whole heap of new patrons, so welcome to you guys too. The colour swatch book seemed to get a few people interested. I'm hoping that people are having a go at it and enjoying it. I'm using sepia and I'm using really light pressure. I'm just following some of the grayscale lines already marked out. So this is the hair shadow here over the face. We want to give her face some shape, so coming around all the curves of the nose and the cheeks and the forehead. We're going to be doing a few layers, so we don't want to go too hard now. We want to keep it nice and light. Christine always leaves a bit of a white line around the outside of the face. It's just her style and I quite like it. So we're going to leave it and use our lightest colour later on. You do, Helen? Good. They are very cool. I'm such a OCD person. I like things to be fairly organized. So for me, I was sort of happy with the results of it. I think it's got a little bit of tweaking to do, but it's good. going to come in very handy, make my life so much easier. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of colour down here, just like that. If we can see this okay. Also too, where the nose, the edges of the nose sort of come down towards the lip, I just want to add a little bit of a triangle there. Just like that, and on this side as well. Just really lightly, guys. Got a little bit of a dip in the lip here. And coming around the side of the face. Underneath the eye. Just a little bit down into the cheek there. And all the way down the side. And don't forget the ears. I always forget the ears, don't I, guys? Those that have been around. They always end up getting left till last. Hi Sherry, welcome. Is it Elvira? Elvira? Hello, hello, hello. Yes, we started at about 20 minutes ago. We did. It's like that when I'm saying hello to people. People just pop in and I miss them. Hi, Dawn. So we're just going to continue using this sepia all the way down onto her neck and all those shadow areas that we've got here. If you're using the liner, you need to sort of draw this out. To create some nice shape. Need to have contrast, some dark and light to create shape. Otherwise it will just look like a flat sort of object. I think this is my third Christine Caran colour along. Is that right? I've done Mermaid's Heart, Rowan Fairy. I think this is the third Christine Caran one. Christine was actually one of my very first official colour alongs, which was Rowan Fairy. Using Prismacolor, gosh, oh so long ago. Time flies, a lot's happened since then. She is pretty. Oh, hi Janine. I don't know, was that Abby? I think that one was a Patreon one. I don't think that was a... I don't remember. Was that an actual colour along? I don't remember it actually being a colour along. Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe I'm dreaming. Make sure you get the shadows of the teeth here. Just keeping nice and light. Ah. Yes, the trail is pretty. And as I was saying, I think, oh no, that's part of her top. That's alright. I think she's actually quite pretty. So I'm saying that she's like a troll princess. Her father was a troll and her mother was human. There we go. Good story so far. I like to make up these little stories for Shelley. She's got such an awesome imagination. Kimmy, welcome. Hi Renee, welcome guys, come in. The only thing with these colour alongs is that I find that I'm a lot quieter because I'm trying to concentrate. I'm just making sure I haven't missed any areas with that sepia. She's going to be quite dark. And so I've done a fair bit. And you can see how light it is because you can see the toothness of the the roughness of the tooth of the paper. The toothness. I'm doing well today already. Anywhere that I've wanted it to stay quite dark, I've sort of added a few layers onto that section as well. So there's some areas down here that I want to make sure that I get once I start adding on the rest of the colour. So I've just gone back in over the top of that just to darken them a little bit, but still using really light pressure. The key. Alright, let's move on to dark brown. Now, on Monday, or Sunday for most of you guys, for my live, Craft Ease has given me a paint by numbers to give away. So we're going to do a paint by numbers on Monday. I'm going to continue on with my extreme paint by numbers. Now I'm coming over the top of the previous colour and I'm just coming a little bit further over it. So we're getting some colour on the page with no sepia under it, and we're getting it over the top of the sepia as well. We're just going to gradually build up the colour that way. So coming over the sepia and just coming out a little bit further out from it. Ooh, very good. Well, the paint by numbers that we'll be doing for the giveaway is actually going to be a full kit. So it will be a framed one with the deluxe, you know, brushes and all of that kind of thing. So that's cool. And very generous of them. I've been working with David from Crafties for quite some time now. Lovely guy. Great to work with. Always looking for ways to improve his service from his company. It's just brilliant. He's a great guy. So yeah, look forward to that one, guys. Make sure you come and pop in on Monday or Sunday, whatever it is for you guys. Monday here in Australia. So what we're doing is we're gradually covering over the white of the paper using all of the colours that we're going to use. So there'll be no white left. I am now using dark brown. Oh, very nice, Sherry. I used some PanPastels on the image I'm playing around with at the moment. So I just packed them all away. I don't have the full set. I've just got a few different colours. I was actually looking at getting some more alcohol markers. I was looking at the Arteza Everblend, but I can't seem to really get them here in Australia. Shara tried to help me out with them, but it's still going to end up costing too much in postage. Then I went and had a look at the Art and Fly markers. They look alright, but again, put stuff in my cart and the postage was astronomical. I cannot believe it. Almost half the price of the actual markers themselves. So I'm not having much luck on that front. I think Copics just want me to use them. I think they do. So I'm just gradually filling in the white of the paper. Hi Kelly, welcome. I am using dark brown at the moment. I'm going over the top of sepia, so sepia was first, now dark brown. Hi Laura, I'm good. We haven't had much relief from the heat. We're supposed to be having a little bit of rain here. I don't know if that's going to hit all of Victoria though. I looked at my fire app this morning and it's just sad. Very sad. Apparently there's less fires count-wise, but that's because some of them joined together. So, not really a great thing. I can show a map in a little bit of how it's looking. almost covered over all of the sepia with the dark brown. And you know what? I forgot the ears, didn't I? After talking about the ears, I forgot them. Let's do the ears. You love Art and Fly, but they need to come out with more colours. So somebody said that there's different sets, and the sets are different to the, like the full, there's a 48 pack, and there's also like little sets which are different colours. I'm using sepia again now, and coming in and doing the ears. See, I told you. Let's do these ears. There's some like shadows here where the jewellery is as well, so I'm just going to colour over all of that with sepia. Over this side. And then back over the top of the sepia with the dark brown. Yeah, the Art and Fly ones look really cool. I did send an email to their customer service about possibly doing some sort of deal with them, but no one's got back to me. I did talk to Arteza, someone got back to me about that, but they weren't willing to help out either. They just said, oh, we will be delivering to Australia soon. Well, that doesn't help me now. And that doesn't make you more popular for Australians yet either. So, I don't know. Alright, now, I've covered over that. We're going to move to chocolate. It doesn't? Now the Nalek, I always get her name wrong, but you know, she's actually done a book and donating half of the proceeds to the animal wildlife. Have you guys seen that yet? It's on Etsy. I just purchased it this morning. It might be hard to see under the camera. It is hard to see under the camera. There's a little sugar glider, a couple of koalas, kangaroo, another koala, some bats. So Nell's donating half of the proceeds to the hello. Donate to help Australian wildlife. Anyhow, let's have a look at the fires. Might need to go a little bit lighter. And when we're making sure we leave some light areas too. We don't want to cover over everything yet. All right. I saw that you've coloured some. I'm getting messages here, guys. Sorry. Let's go to the fire. Emergency app. And the whole of Victoria. Okay, so this is Victoria here. The bottom. This top section here is New South Wales. That's just up here. These are the fires. We've got warnings all over this side. I'm down here in Melbourne, down here, southeastern suburbs. We've got some fires that have sort of spread up across the top of Victoria here, over in Bendigo. So they're kind of spreading all the way around us at the moment. There are a couple that are close to me. They are like reserves and parks. Oh, that's a new one actually. Berwick. There's a bushfire in Karron Downs. That's where I am in that area, southeastern suburbs. So yeah, it's got pretty bad. I still think we'll be quite safe here, and my heart goes out to all those people's in the country Victoria area that have lost their farms, their houses, all those animals. A lot of the area that's gone up in Australia has been country towns and country, so a lot of animals, a lot of livestock. Alright, now we've got chocolate. Hi Robin, hi Amanda, hi guys, welcome. Hi Kenny, welcome. Okay, chocolate. This time we're actually going to cover over everything, but really lightly. So I'm just going to do a really light layer over the top of what we've already done. And I mean like really light. I've got my pencil on an angle like that. And I'm just really lightly rubbing the pencil over the top of the paper. We don't want to get aggressive, we just want to be gentle about it. No pushing down. If you hold your pencil on an angle like this, you're less likely to put too much pressure down. Otherwise the pencil will break. Don't forget the ears. Just really lightly. Patience and gentleness. This is something that took me a little while because I'm pretty heavy-handed, so trying to figure out how to keep a light hand, light pressure. I'm actually going to leave a little gap of white just down the nose and just on the very tip of the nose there. I'm going to try to leave that white. I want to keep that quite light. Try and give her a little bit of a shiny nose. If you need to cover over a little bit smoother, just come back over the same area in a different direction, and what it will do is it will just help fill a little bit more of the tooth and just smooth it out a little bit as well. Just keep it nice and light. I've made the little tufts black here because she's going to have a little bit of black and maybe some aubergine through those messy kind of looking locks of hair. As I said, she's a very attractive troll. Just making sure I come over those darker areas as well, so we can gradually build up the depth in those. Try and keep these shadows nice and dark. She looks a little bit like an ugly duckling at the moment. Hi Rosemary, welcome. Let's keep working. Moving down. Getting some new beds tomorrow. I'm getting excited. Hubby's been frantically making a frame for us because we've decided to put 2 king single beds together. Because we have Nani who's been sleeping with us and it's so uncomfortable. Having a 20-kilo dog between us. So we figured king or super king's not quite big enough. So we're going 2 king singles. So of course they don't sell frames for 2 king singles. So hubby's making one out of beautiful pine, dried pine. I don't even know what kind of pine it is, treated of some sort. It's really pretty. Hubby's a bit of a handyman. He's a bit of an artist himself. So just making sure that I go over those darker areas as well as the lighter areas. And still keeping that really nice light pressure. This pencil's so tiny. Hi Loretta. Who's done that one, Loretta? My pencil is well loved. Look at it. No, wait, that's not the best part. Look at this one. This pencil is well loved. Look at it. Looking good. Not mad yet. Still looking a bit of a hot mess, but I'm not mad. Here we go. Alright, I've got some nectar. I'm going to add a little bit of pink into her. Before I add the nectar though, I'm just going to add a little bit of blush pink. I just want to add a little bit to her cheeks. I wanted to have some nice sort of, I don't know, blushed cheeks. So just really lightly, I'm just going to mark in just a bit of a circle on her cheeks. And I'm still using light pressure, so just pencil on the side. Just marking it in, adding a little bit up here onto the top of her lids, underneath a little bit. I'm also going to add it to her lips. So this was blush pink. just really lightly. Too dark brown. Really? My dark brown I haven't had a problem with. However, my Dahlia purple, that's another story. Colours of Australia. Thanks. I'll look it up. Okay, now I'm coming back to Nectar. Keeping a sharper pencil because otherwise I'm tempted to put more pressure down. Let's just sharpen that a little bit. And keeping the same direction, so making sure I keep it on a horizontal angle as much as I can, of course. I'm just going to go over the top of everything again. So what's going to happen is the more layers that we add, the more the tooth is going to fill up with colour. So you'll notice that the more layers I put on, the smoother it starts to look. And that's because we're gradually filling in those little ditches or valleys and in the paper. If you're wanting it to look a little bit smoother, make sure you just come over it still really lightly on a different angle and you'll fill out a little bit more of that. So you can see here it's already starting to get nice and smooth. And you'll probably find in the darker areas it will start to look a little bit smoother than everywhere else because you've done more layers in that area. So the reason that we need the eggshell or cream or some sort of yellow tone is so that we can get rid of some of the pink out of the skin and it doesn't look too pink. And obviously there's loads of different shades of dark skin too. So I've gone a bit of a pinky tone, but there's orange, there's just like a white undertone in dark skin as well, where there's no sort of pink tone at all. There's yellow. There's loads of different coloured skin, of course. Don't forget the ears. Who's following along? I know a few of you are, but not everybody. Just turned my paper and changed the angle a little bit. Looking good. So the reason we want to keep it nice and light is because we've still got 2 more colours to lay over the top, and then we want to do another layer of all the colours again. Getting adventurous, aren't I? Might be nearly time to do a giveaway, I think. So if you were to get a copy of any image in Christine Karen's Etsy store, which one would you get? Thanks, Helen. It's getting there. Obviously, it's at ugly duckling stage. Just stay with me. If you're just popping in, stay with me. It will change. It will get better. I've just left that white gap still on the nose there as well. Alrighty, we're going to use this in her lips, so I'm just going to come into the darker areas. Just going around the outside of the lip and where the shadows are. I'm going to use a soft brush to get rid of my dust too. Alright, let's move on to the next colour. You have faith in me. Oh, no worries, Miranda. Take care. You can see what I can do. Here we go. It's starting to change. I've got light peach and I'm going to come over everything. So just keep doing everything. Still light pressure, guys. Don't be tempted to push down yet. We're not quite there. I'm actually going to come around the outside edge now of the face too, so the lighter outside edge. Don't forget the ear. If I go over the hair at all, I'll just erase that later on. It's going to be dark hair anyway, so you won't be able to see it underneath the darker colour once we get there. Keep moving. You can hear me scratching on the paper. So I'm just lightly scratching over the top of the paper. I'm going to come over that light bit in the nose there. Changing direction to make sure I get a nice even layer. I just hope we can finish the skin before the end of the video. Can you see that we're starting to soften in these darker areas now? There's less white underneath those areas than there was before. Fairy magic page. Okay, Eva. That sounds pretty. Anyone else? Bunny or fairies? Or Benny Blue. Yes, Benny Blue is cute. I did a Benny Blue colouring page and framed it for my nephew. The one with the Paddington Bear raincoat and boots on. Very cute. Getting somewhere, slowly but surely. Let's do the giveaway rules, and I'm just going to let it play through, and then I'll run through it with you. We'll do a giveaway and then we'll hopefully get this skin finished. It's looking okay. Let's just zoom out a little bit because obviously we're a bit close to see the whole picture. I can see some areas where I may need to just come back in with the nectar a little bit. It looks like I've missed just a little bit in there. It's a little bit better. But once we come over with the second layer, all of these little white patches that are on the skin are going to just disappear. So we'll move on to do the second layer in a minute. I've just got some eggshell, and I'm just going to do the eggshell over the entire skin again. This is adding a little bit of the yellow tone in, just to get rid of some of the pinkiness. And while I'm just going over with a light layer of that, I'm going to play these giveaway rules for you. So let's play them. Okay guys, so we haven't started yet. The idea for the giveaway is that you will pick one number between 1 and 100. There is only one number per person. No chatting during the number calling until the winning number is drawn. No numbers before the words go, go, go or after stop, stop, stop will be counted. These will be in the chat box. So, the number closest to the generated number without going over wins. If there's no winner, then obviously we'll redraw the number. Make sure that you're on live chat, because if you're not on live chat, you won't be able to see when I type the words go, go, go. So just click on that little chat box up the top there. Make sure you've selected live chat. You should be able to see live chat above everybody talking. Any giveaway or promotion is in no way sponsored, endorsed, or administered by or associated with YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Christine Caran. Let's go back. Not yet, peoples. So I'm doing eggshell at the moment over everything, adding in my yellow tone, just really lightly. Who's ready? Everyone say ready. I got one ready. Here we go. Emma, hello. Loretta, Kathy. Hello, Kathy, welcome. So the giveaway today is for one digital copy of an image of your choice from Christine Caran's Etsy store. You will need to contact me with an email address so I can pass that on to Christine so she can send that to you as well. So here we go. It's time, guys. Let's put on a timer. Timer is starting. And you know what? I probably should find random.org. Look at that. All ready to go. got a minute. I don't know how far behind we are. Sometimes it's like way behind. Sometimes it's only, 10 or 12 seconds. It's random how it works. Still doing eggshell over the top of everything. Getting rid of some of the pink tone out of it. Nice going, guys. A few more seconds left. Almost time. Last minute, or last second I should say. There we go. Alright, let's see who wins. Okie dokie. Here is our number generated. So 1 and 100. Generating. Number 62. I'll just leave it on the screen there for a sec. I don't know if I can type it in today. Oh, no, my mouse is, my keyboard's over there. Let's try that again. 62. Alright. I have to move my keyboard out the way sometimes, just to make sure shadow doesn't get to my keyboard. So who was closest to it without going over that number? So it has to be below number 62. Alrighty. We had... Oh, Diane, you just missed out. Miranda's close. Sherry missed out. Kelly missed out. Oh, we had a 58. Is that Amanda? I had Amanda at 58. Amanda Poole, a lovely lady who's from like England, yeah? Yep, Amanda's closest. So there was no other numbers higher than 58 under 62. No problem, son. Get in touch with me on Instagram or Facebook, wherever, doll, and send me a message and let me know your details, and I'll send that off to Christine. So there will be another chance in the next 3 videos to win another image, so stay tuned next week. And don't forget, Monday we'll be doing a giveaway for a paint by numbers too, so we'll have another giveaway then. I love giveaways. Yay! So I think I've got rid of most of the pink now. I think I've gone over everything with the eggshell. I mean, obviously we're going to be doing all this again, so we're going to get some more pink in there. Oh, and that paper's starting to really, really build in. Let's go with sepia. Congratulations, Amanda. Alright, so sepia again in the dark shadows. And now what's going to happen is this will be one of our final layers. So we're going to have nice smooth paper. If I was using Neenah, classic Crest, this is where I start to get some difficulty in adding layers and getting that nice smooth texture. The great thing about this paper is that there's so much room to move, and it is one really important thing that people don't think about when they start colouring, is the type of paper you use makes a big difference in how your image will turn out. So I'm using sepia again, guys. I'm just going to use a little bit of firmer pressure in the very dark areas, so just in the creases of the eye here. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on, just medium pressure, just to flatten out the tooth, both sides of the eyes there. Could hear someone getting breakfast out there. Okay, and then back to light pressure again. So just in the darkest areas, I'm putting a little bit of pressure down. Trying to keep our nice crisp lines, showing our darkest shadows. Coming down and around into the lips as well. So we're just defining those areas. And then back to light pressure. Don't forget that little triangle of colour down beside the nose there, just to give us a little bit of definition on the lip. Back to the ears. Got those dark shadows where the earrings are. Okay, still light layers, but you can see where we're adding depth in and where the paper's smoothing off now. Going back under the chin here. In that darkest area there. Just going to put a little bit of pressure under the chin and then lighten that pressure up. Coming down here, making sure that I define that really dark area as I'm coming down. Coming close to the jewelry now as well, adding in a little bit of pressure just to push down the tooth in those darkest spots. This is where you're going to start to make it look nice and smooth. So take care in what you're doing. Hi Karen, welcome. You know what, I keep colouring that bit. That's actually the clothes. It doesn't matter, it's going to be dark in there anyway, but I'm using a mono eraser and just erasing out of the areas that I've just gone over. Don't put too much pressure on. You don't want to flatten that tooth off too early. You can hear some banging going on outside. It's actually getting really windy here. We're due for a bit of rain, but it's coming from the other side of the city, which is the other side of the fires. Hopefully it will just push it all towards the already burnt areas and it'll dwindle out. That will be nice. I mean, obviously it's nothing there to burn, it's just going to die. Let's just hope it doesn't catch any areas that didn't actually burn. Don't know what that was. Noisy people today. Alright, so that was sepia. There's a bit of hair here, which I've coloured over a little bit. Let me just erase that there. You can see the hair. Here we go. And just making sure that I also add a light layer blending out from there, just so that the colour's nice and smooth. Alright, coming back over the top of that with the next colour, which was dark brown. Nope, it doesn't. It's actually quite smooth. It's not the smooth, it's a vellum surface, so it has got a little bit of tooth, but not too much. I find that really toothy paper is hard to work with because then you've got to do extra layers to get it nice and smooth. I did find the Neenah too smooth and I struggled to get some nice layers on it and some nice rich colour. So the vellum surface was really good because it wasn't quite smooth, but it's not overly toothy either. So coming over the top of the sepia now with the dark brown, I'm doing a few layers in the darkest areas because I want to almost fill out the tooth completely now. I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see what the paper's doing. The colour's not that great. Oh, that's terrible colouring. That's close to the right colour. Still using light pressure, but just repeatedly going over the same area. Just bringing it out so it looks darker in the darkest areas, and then as I come further out it looks a lot lighter. Is that making any sense there? So coming into the darkest areas, with a couple of layers, and then coming out and lightening it up. Over the darkest areas a couple of times, and then lightening it up. This is dark brown. Hi, hi Sylvie. How's it going, peoples? Who's following along? How's it looking? Practice, practice, practice. That'd be my phone. Remember, we did it a little bit firmer in the really dark areas here, so we're going to do the same with this colour, and then lighten up the pressure as we come out further, so that we get a nice smooth dark area. Kind of got a bit of an M shape on her nose there. Darker around those sharper, more defined areas, and then I'm lightening it up. Really starting to get some nice deep colour there now. Not quite smooth yet, almost. Don't forget the ears. These ear areas are quite small, so they're already looking quite smooth. And what will happen is, as you gradually, depending on what paper you have got, but as you gradually add more pencil, it will start to get like waxy and kind of smooth like, and it makes it easy to push around the colour. It smudges it together and it creates like a really nice creamy kind of texture. And it's really warm here, so it's probably melting a little bit. Hi, Christy. What kind of Strathmore do you have? I really do like this one, and it was quite cheap. For 40 sheets, it was quite cheap here. I've been trying to find paper that I can suggest to everyone that everyone can get, because Neenah is really hard to get here in Australia. I actually don't mind if you're in Australia. I don't mind the quill board from Officeworks. But obviously that's not available to other countries, so it's really hard. Alright, let's just zoom out a little bit. You can get a little glimpse at how it's starting to look. Coming in now with chocolate, and this time chocolate we're doing all over again. Doing it darker in those darker areas. Just starting to smooth off the tooth, and then just nice and light over everything else. Just leaving that little gap on the top of the nose there for some nice highlight. Also just up here I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap too. Keep that top of the eyebrows there a little bit lighter. Everything else I'm coming over with a light layer. What we're doing now is we're starting to burnish the paper. We're pushing down that tooth. And getting a nice smooth layer. If you're not yet, don't worry. We've still got a few more colours to go. I'm not sure if they are or not. Loretta? I've been debating whether to get the full set, but I don't know. It is really hard. I'm running out of a Holbein colour, and I can't seem to find open stock anywhere for it that will deliver to Australia. So, it is so hard not being able to get open stock here in Australia. Kind of important when you're using it quite often. She's starting to look a bit dirty looking now, isn't she? Don't worry, lovey. We're going to fix you right up. Give you a bath. So why do we do layers? We do layers to create depth, to give us, you know, something to move with on the paper. Got some blush pink. I'm just going to do her cheeks again. Just coming in with circular motions, creating a nice little rosy patch. That does not look like blush pink, it looks like some other random colour because of the colour on the screen. Oh gosh, that looks terrible. Every time I put my hand in, the light changes. Adding a little bit on the top of the lids here. Just going to add some in the corner of the eyes and on the waterline. And just coming over the lips as well. There was some nectar already there, so we're just filling over the top of that. Alright, now we've got nectar. I'm actually going to put a little bit of pressure down and make sure that that darkest area is now flat. I don't want to lighten that area off too much with the lighter colours, so I'm going to try to get that as flat as I can now. Just coming over it a few times and then really lightening my pressure up again as I come over the top of the rest of the skin. So we can see that we're starting to flatten off all of those darker areas now, coming over fairly firmly in those dark areas and then lighter over the rest of the skin. Making sure the tooth's nice and flat now. And it should be starting to look a little bit like, I don't know, I'm starting now to smudge the pigment in. It's starting to look now like it's, I don't know, paint almost. Because it's getting, can you see that? It's starting to get like build up. It's allowing us to move the wax a little bit around. To create a really nice smooth colour and blend. If this is your first time, please don't stress if it doesn't look the same. It takes practice. Hopefully with a little bit of guidance you'll be able to get it. Never give up. Never gonna give you up. I just ricked you. What's it called? Rickroll. So now she's really starting to look pink, and this is why we need the eggshell or a cream colour to come in with and to get rid of some of that pink tone, because I don't want her to be completely pink. She almost looks like she's sunburnt. going to try to even that out with a bit of yellow. Hi, Shelley. We weren't talking about you before. Hi, Sue. Welcome. Most of those shadow areas now are flat. Alright, moving down. I get impatient by this stage, and I want to finish the face off before I finish the rest. However, I find when I do that, that the colour in the skin on their necks or body ends up being slightly different than on their face. So I do try to use one colour at a time where I can to try and make sure I get some nice even colours through. Perhaps you would prefer to do it a little bit at a time, and that's fine too. Well, I'm actually sweltering here now. The sun's starting to come on this side of the house, and I'm sweating. All right. Time for some light beige. Let's completely flatten out the tooth in the darkest areas now. So that there is now completely flat and smooth, and the light area is almost smooth. It's not quite there yet because we haven't done as many layers in that area yet, but it's almost smooth. Darkest areas should be smooth, and the lighter areas should be almost smooth. Darkest. Smooth. Lightest areas are almost smooth. It's pretty good. It's actually hair there. It's all good. It will come down. When I draw in the hair, I'll make sure to go in and redefine those areas on the face as well. You love that moment? Me too. It's like just this magic just happens. All of a sudden, the pencils start to blend in together and it looks smooth and rich and creamy. And we lose the paper texture and it just starts to look like skin. You shush. It's not time to finish yet, so off you hop. No. No. Water. Oh, Helen, sweetheart. Everybody out there who's been unwell, sending healing prayers. Circular motions are good for this too. Less pressure on the hands. Let's zoom out a little bit and see how it's looking further away. Come together right now. I can hear wind. It's getting really, really bad now. We have a change coming through. Looking good. Almost finished. What's the time? Oh, 15 minutes. I reckon we'll be able to do it. What do you guys think? It was so great having 5 Fridays in February. It just gave us that little bit of extra time at the start of the year to get settled and get started. I think that's a drill going off. I think somebody's drilling something. All right, almost there. Silly light. I was just using, that was light peach in the Prisma Premier. Now I'm going to use eggshell, and I'm also going to add a little bit more blush pink, and then we're going to add a tiny little bit of white. With the blush pink first, we're just going to do another layer of pink. And I'm actually going to try not to go over this area with the eggshell if I can. I want to try and keep that pink. Let's get rid of some of those dusty bits. Eggshell. Let's finish it off. So we've got some areas that have still got a little bit of paper coming through. Now we're going to completely flatten that. So we're going to use the pigment that's already on there and we're going to smudge it out so it covers over everything. I use a brush to get rid of the dust because otherwise it smudges over the page when you go like that. So the brush just gets rid of that dust without smudging it. I use a makeup brush. I've also got a really nice big thick soft paintbrush, which is also great for that kind of thing. I like my little mermaid brush though. Using the eggshell or cream or whatever you're using for that yellow, just come in and we want to flatten out the tooth completely now. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Just going to make sure the tooth is completely flat. We're going to get rid of all of those little white spots that were coming through. We're just going to smudge them out and get rid of them completely so it's nice and smooth now. I'm using firm pressure, not too firm that the pencil's going to break, but firm enough to push that pigment around. Yeah, if I was doing this on Neenah paper or Neenah Classic Crest paper, I would be getting little wax build-up areas. So I can actually show you on the one that I had a practice on. You can see the wax kind of doesn't flatten out smooth. It just kind of builds up, and then when it builds up it takes off. So the skin kind of looked a little bit blotchy because it was pulling away from the paper. So this paper is not going to do that because it's got a nice texture on it. It's picking up and keeping the pigment there. Bring over the ears. You also may be noticing that the darker areas are starting to fade out a little bit. They're not looking quite so dark. Don't worry, we can redefine that. That's the great thing about Prismas. We can just keep working it. Still got a bit of a white spot right down the center of the nose and right on the tip there, because I'm going to use a bit of white just to add a little bit of a highlight in there. Trying to keep away from that pink if I can in the cheeks. Paper again. Let me just zoom back out again. This is the one I'm using. I've also used the Strathmore Bristol Vallum surface paper. The smooth is no good. The Vallum surface Bristol is similar to this, but this is actually quite a good price for what you can get. So it's 40 sheets in the booklet. I've just cut the booklet up and trimmed the edge off it so that they're just sheets of paper now. I didn't have them in the book anymore. I pulled the spiral binding off the book and just using the paper. Bye, Karen. Thanks for dropping in. Trying to stay away from those pinky cheeks there. I don't want to get rid of that pink. Let's use the brush, eh? Okay, now before I move down, I am going to add a few details into the face. First of all, with the dark brown, I just want to redefine the nose here. Just around the edges of the nose, the lip. Just adding that depth back in there. Because we've gone over it with the lighter colour, it's just lightened it off slightly. The ear. Just adding that little bit of depth back in. Just around the top of the eye. Around the very edge of the face. If you find that it's still a little bit too dark in contrast, you just lighten it off with the chocolate a little bit there. The great thing about it at this stage, it just glides over whatever's there on the paper. I'm just going to have to erase the earrings there. I'm sure we will fix it up when we do them, but just try and take a little bit of the colour out of them. Alright, and I'm going to grab some white. Oh, thanks, Eva. White, and I'm going to use the white down the centre of the nose. Just lightly. I don't want to get rid of any of the colour that's already there. I just want to kind of go over it and just lighten it up slightly. And just on the very tip of the nose there. Light pressure. Just light pressure over and over just to cover it over. There you go. She's got a bit of a shiny patch there. Also just above the eye there a little bit. Lighten that off a little bit. Around the outside of the face. The edges of the ears there. And just underneath the nose there's like a lighter kind of ring that followed around the bottom of the nose there. Going over that. Around the lip. Using white, coming around the outside of the lip. There, just defining that a little bit. Okay, now with the sepia back through the lips. sepia. And just using a little bit of the nectar just to smooth it off slightly. Don't want to cover it completely, but I want it to kind of smooth in with the skin. Okay, and then white just to do those highlighted spots there. Look at that. Natural looking lips. Now underneath the eyes I've done blush pink, and I want to go over that with the white, just blending that in slightly, lightening it up a little bit. Looking good. Obviously we haven't finished down further, but we're getting there. Just think this bit here is a little bit rough. Just smoothing off any of the areas that looked rough or the paper wasn't quite smooth. I've just flattened that out there around the mouth. For the eyes, I've got some black. We haven't got much time, so I thought we might as well get into that, because the skin color down here, we're just going to do the eggshell just to smooth it all off, so I can do that off camera. Let's do just really light pressure just on the shadow areas of the whites of the eye first. Just around the outside of the whites of the eye, just really gently. Okay, and then we're going to do firmer pressure around the top of the lid, redefining her eyelashes there, and also around the bottom. Oh, that's Nani. She's trying to get in to say hello, I think. Nearly done, Nani. Nearly done. Just careful, because this is really smooth on here now, because we've got so much colour. Just want to enlarge that area a little bit, just adding another line around it. Okay, they're looking really nice. Before I go and do the lashes, I just want to put some white into the whites of the eye, and I'm going to smudge out that black that I just put in there. And then if we need to redefine any areas, we can do that. We just want to smudge it out. I just don't want it to look completely white, because there's going to be shadows in the eye there where the lids are sort of overlapping the eye. These little details will help just bring the image to life. Yep, that's Nani. She's wanting to come in. Now, redefining the under line there. Chair's squeaky today. Now we're going to do lashes. So I'm kind of going to do a bit of a flick. Just going to sort of, just a bit of a curve. Not a straight line, it's kind of a bit of a curved line. And then when we come down here, we're going to curve it the opposite way. Done. Same on this side, bit of a curve in. She needs more definition on that one. Let's add a few more flicks over here. And let's do a few back this direction. A couple more. A little bit of blush pink. Okay, I want to do the same on the eyebrows, but we're going to just flick a couple of stray ones out the side there and just flick up. Doing a couple of different layers, so I'm kind of doing along the line here and then coming above that and going, so we're creating a little bit of texture. It looks like hair then. Make sure your pencil's nice and sharp too. You'll get so much nicer lines. Excuse me, Nani. Going along the bottom and then on the top. I don't think a troll would have such perfect eyelashes, so eyebrows. So we can make them look a little bit messier, can't we? There you go. I want to do these little tufts of hair at the side here, black too. I'm just going to add a couple down here, even it out a little bit. Keep going. I've got mineral orange. I'm going to put it at the top of the eyes. I'm pushing firmly here too. There's also like a bit of a line down the bottom there. I just want to fill that in as well. Can you see that? Should I zoom a bit for that one? Well, hello. Nope, don't like that. So the line is just there. So just doing firmer pressure here at the top. Then I've got canary yellow. And I'm just going to go over the top of the mineral orange. Just smudging it out. I don't know why, but I felt she should have yellow eyes. She's a troll. So I didn't know what colour eyes they would have. Yellow it is. Just going to use a black just to deepen up the pupil. And just across the top there where there'd be a bit of a shadow. Just straightening that up a bit. Now white, oh, I didn't actually put that on the list, but I'm going to use a paint pen. You could use Postal, you could use a gel pen. I'm going to use the Pilot Pintor Extra Fine, and I'm just going to put a nice dot over the top of the one that's already there. I'm also going to put a couple of little spots and the bottom of the eye here, in the corner, to show a tiny little bit of a highlight. Just like that. Let's put one on the lips, a couple of little spots. Maybe one just there as well. That's her face done. Let's just zoom out and have a look. Now let's finish her skin and we're done. So coming back in with the eggshell, if you want this highlight here that I did on the face, we can do the same thing. Just smooth this off with the eggshell first. We can do the same thing on these lines on the neck. We can just put a little bit of white just to accentuate them a little bit and make them a little bit lighter as well. Just some eggshell first to smooth the rest of the skin out. Make sure there are no more bumps left. I hope this was instructional enough for you, and if it doesn't work the first time, I do encourage you to do the smaller images and give it a try a few times. I mean, I did it 3, 4 times before presenting it here, so practice is helpful. Okay, just adding a little bit of white to those really highlighted spots. There's one there too, just slightly. And the edges as well of the skin. Why are you having your name changed, Shelley? What brand sharpener are we talking about? The eyes bring it all together, don't they? Oh, enabler. You could just change your name to enabler. They say that about me too, but you know. I just want to show you the brands that are out there and what I find easiest to use. I just went over the tooth there to erase that, I think. Favorite tools for me, for pencil, I'm going to say mono eraser, Prismacolor white, and Luminance white. White gel pen. The mono eraser still again. I have to say it again. Don't forget to go back in and redefine any areas that lighten off too much as well. Alrighty, white, just to do some of those nice light highlights there. Pretty much the only ones I really wanted to accentuate, maybe just those collarbones a little bit there, and some dark brown. Just redoing those shadows there. Gotta have a little bit of definition. I think we're good. I think we're pretty much on track. Next week we'll start the hair. Yeah, I'm good. I'm done. I'm happy with that. I hope you guys are too. Remember, just go back and rewatch it. Once the video loads, it will stay up. I've added it to a playlist as well, so if you want to save the playlist for when I add the other videos, you're welcome to do that too. If you're new and you haven't got the image yet and you'd like to get it with the discount, it is in the description as well. So make sure you check that out. Be sure to join me on Monday for another giveaway with Crafties. I'm going to give away a Paint by Numbers, the full kit, so the deluxe kit, which is already framed. And I'll even let you pick your image that you want. Happy with that. I hope you guys are too. If you want to add a little bit more blush to some of these areas, you can. If you like a little bit more pink, just going to add a tiny bit of blush pink at the top here. I quite like the pink. It's very, I don't know, feminine looking. It gives her those rosy cheeks looks. You're happy with mine? Yeah, do that, Shelley. I can post mine. I'd like to see that. I'm just using a little bit of chocolate just to darken a couple of areas there. I think they need to just be that little bit darker. And then anything that you add to it now, just add the nectar. And then just make sure you blend it out with the eggshell as well. A little bit of nectar. And maybe you want to keep a little bit of pink, and you can do that too. Now that the skin's fairly smooth, I can kind of do a little bit to it without worrying about the texture and things like that. Which is fab. I just love the way that it sort of smoothly blends back in again. It's cool. It's very cool. Yeah, that's a little bit better. It's just a little bit too light for me. Play with it. Have some fun. Guys, I'm going to go. I'll see you on Monday, or your Sunday most likely. For Australians, it's Monday. And enjoy the rest of your weekend coming up. Oh, Christine, hello. We're just finishing up. Amanda won today's giveaway, so I'm going to get in contact with you with those details. I'm sure she's already messaged me. Is that right, Amanda? I'm just evening some colours out. She's not like dark, but she's still got a nice tan to her. Thank you so much, guys, and big thank you, Christine, for this beautiful image. Thank you to all of my mods, and sending healing prayers to those that need it, and praying for the fires here in Australia. I will see you next week for hair, and don't forget, drop in for our paint by numbers on Monday. Bye, guys. Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone.